animation in Moho and animate everything in Moho. It's easier than using any yo-yo, yeah. Now it's time to learn to use Moho.
Alright, this is part 2 of the little boy character that we made last time. And we left off last time with him in the state where when we move this over to frame 1, his eyes can move back and forth left to right and up and down, and also they can blink and open, but they don't get any wider than that, which is fine. And then we can switch eyes this way or to a mad squinty face of the eyes. And the mouth has a switch as well, a switch layer with a whole bunch of different mouth shapes as we go around, you can see. And what I want to do now is I would like to limit, first of all, some of these bones. So you can see when I pull this over that our bones, left or right, go all the way to the right. They do stop though. This has a limit, which this one's okay. As far as I can tell, this up and down, this one is okay as well. The open blink is fine, but you see how it goes over here and does nothing. So what I'd like to do is limit this from 0 to 90 here without a positive on it. I'm going to see if there's a way to do that. So we're going to come up here, selecting that bone. We're going to go to bone constraints, and instead of this, we're needing to go 0 to 90. And now when we close this, you'll see we do have this appropriate to where it's coming up all the way to 90, but this is going to go all the way to 0. And we don't have that extra over here. It's just a bit of like cleanup to where you're never going to accidentally go beyond it for any reason, and it'll work perfectly. The eye switch, we have 3, 1, 2, 3, but there's no reason for it to come way down here. There's no reason for it to come way down here over here either. So we're going to go from somewhere in here. Either way, just something to where it won't go along the bottom. So with that selected, we're going to go to our bone constraints. I'm going to put on an angle constraint on that. Right now it's negative 70 to 70, and I think to line up correctly. And right now I can already see this is not really going to help us. So on this one, I'm just going to do this at about close to a 45, maybe a little over. And the other one, we're going to go somewhere here. And now if I close that and try it again, we should get the proper, and we do have our nice stop. So that's how you would take care of that. The eye blink's going to pop up when you select it, same as all the others here. And the mouth switch now is another one. If we look here, it goes through the cycle of all these mouths. But I just want it to go from 0 to negative 90 to positive 90, really is what I'm looking for. So we're just going to go over here and select that bone and bone constraints, put on the angle constraints, and we can already see kind of an issue here. So what I would like to do is make this one maybe a positive 180 and the other one a 0. And now when we close this out, we should be able to move it in the correct direction and get all of them, and we're not going past that to give it an issue. So always set your limits, whether you think you need them or not. It just keeps things a lot more clean and organized. So with that, what we're going to probably want to do is create a head turn. And I think that's where we should start. Maybe even a body turn, but we will do the head turn first. Alright, so we want to be on frame 0. And we want to make sure we click on the background with our select bone tool selected, and that way no other bones are selected. And what we can do from here then is we're going to add a bone right here, and I kind of usually put it either right above the head or somewhere over here. It just helps you determine that this must be what that's for. And we're going to put head turn in the label. We're going to select the bone select tool or select bone tool and make sure that show label is turned on here. And then I'm going to go over here into my bone menu and come down here to make smart bone dial. We're going to get a head turn. I'm going to go ahead and put this maybe at -70 now. We're going to preset these to 70. We're going to preset these to positive and negative. We can do this over 100 frames or 48 frames. It doesn't matter. I'm going to do it at probably 48 frames. There's no reason for it to be 100 frames. I'm going to say OK. And now here we are. These right now are set to smooth. We want to make sure we select them all and set them to linear. And I'm going to take my playhead and move this up to frame 48. Now we can see this is fully pulled over there to his right. And once it's there, we need to make sure those are linear, which it does say so. And now we're going to go into the layer, the different layers, and we're going to pick where we want what. So I'm just going to select eyes right here. And we're going to grab the layer. And on that, we're just going to take those and move those over like this. And now we can actually come down here as well into the eye open folder. We can select these separately. Now the eye right, I'm going to actually make sure that it is centered. We can change this this origin, set origin here to the center of the eye, and that's where it really should be. We probably should do that for both eyes real quick to make sure their origins are in the middle. But eye right, now we're going to select on the transform layer, and we're going to make this smaller. And then we can take the other eye left, move that over a bit, and that way when these move, this one will get smaller and this one will stay. We just want to make sure on every layer we adjust, we select all the keyframes here and we set them to linear. And I'm going to move back now and you can see how that's going to translate as he moves his head. Alright, the next thing we'll need to move is the mouth. Let's just close up that eye layer here. And you know, something else we want to do too is make sure that we have selected these other layers, because when he blinks with the eyes closed or the eyes mad, not the bone dial, but the actual switch layer, we need to make sure these have moved as well. So on eye mad, if I click on that, this one is over, but we're also going to need to make that one smaller for that time. So I'm going to move its origin to the middle here, and we can take those points that are selected, which are these on the left side, and just sort of shift them in. Looks like it's wanting to do the whole layer, so I'm just going to select here now on my transform points tool and make those smaller. Very important that it's not the whole thing. And now we select all of these here and make sure those are all linear. Okay, we're going to double check on that, and you see here just the eyes folder that also needs to be set to linear. Any kind of layer transformation or point animation stuff you do, you just need to make sure that those keyframes are linear if you're within an action or a smart bone dial movement or whatever. So now we're going to go the eyes closed. Those should be in the right place, but see, we're going to need to make this one smaller. So we're just going to click on those points with the transform points tool and make that a little smaller. Then we have to make those keyframes linear. So now we move this back and forth. You can see those move correctly. We may or may not want to move this one up or down, but you see that they do move without slowing down. We're going to go back on the eyes folder, so that way, you know, we get these the default position here. I think that's fine for that side. We're going to go down now to the mouth and just click on its layer here. We don't need to open it up per se, but all of these need to move. We need to check them to make sure that when the head turn happens, all of these are going to move correctly too. So we're going to move this over to frame 48, and now we need to make sure the mouth main folder, the group here, also moves. You can see we need to move its origin, so we're just going to grab that and click it right on the mouth, and then we're going to grab the transform layer tool and we're going to move it over to where we think the mouth would be at that point, and then make sure we also set these all to linear. I need to go back and yeah, that looks good, so I'm just going to check that here. So that's working okay. It'll make more sense when we move the head and the hat. But also at frame 48, we need to check these other ones and make sure they have moved as well. That looks fine to me. That's just the F position, and we'll check all of these just to make sure they're all going. So on something like this, once it's moved and within the action, we can move those points as well independently here. So I can grab, let's say, my curvature tool here and say, nope, that needs to kind of back up into the face. If the head is turned that way, we can move this point like right here, pull that tongue back like that, just to make sure that when this is pushed over, the O position will look, you know, like that. Also, once again, grab all of these and make them linear, and that was for the O position. Make sure the U position and all that looks correct no matter where it's at. The E, so you can see that one is now off. Now granted, these could be masked to where they cut off, but we can also just make sure on frame 48, which is going to be there, that these are at least moved over. I'm going to grab all those and just kind of shove them over now this way. You can see that, so that works in that position. We need to make sure they are linear. I'm clicking down to the next position, or the shape of the mouth, the cha. Same thing, we just grab the points that are overhanging at this point. This is just probably the simplest way to do this, and we just shove those over now, and that works. Make sure they're linear. And then the large CH once again. Whoops. We need to grab the points we want, shove those over. Make sure those are all linear. Make sure it's on frame 48 if that's what you've picked. The open ah, same deal. We just gotta shove the stuff over that's coming off of the face there. Make sure they're linear. A couple more here. The smile big. We're just going to grab the ends of this here and sort of push that over. Grab other points, do the same thing to help it out. Make sure it's all set to linear. The small open mouth, that looks better, but we can even push that back a little bit, and the small mouth looks fine. So we just need to do this both directions we're going to be doing. But for now, that works. Hopefully my camera there isn't in the way of anything I've done. All right, so with that, we've got the mouth. All right, so now we need to figure out what else needs to turn. Obviously, the hat is a big deal. So I am going to close these up here. We're going to find the hat. And the hat will obviously need to turn. Now, this is going to be one of those things you kind of just have to determine for yourself. This center point, though, should come to wherever the center point should be if his head was straight. So this one here is the center point. It's going to be between his eyes with a little bit of space. So as this comes over, I just need to make sure that's where that one, you know, winds up somewhere here. Obviously, that's flipped. You can take your magnet tool, or you can grab, you know, these others here like so. Shift all this over and then work it out, but make sure that this point here, right there, is in the correct position that it should be in. Everything else can be sort of worked out. So I'm just going to take like the magnet tool now and just kind of grab stuff and move it around where it's correct, or makes sense at least. If it doesn't put it in the right place when you do this, you just go back and adjust it again and again until they look right. I mean, that really, there's no trick. It's just a matter of shoving these around until they're in the right place. Obviously, we haven't done this line yet, and obviously these need to be made linear. Don't forget that. We're going to pull this back and just start checking, you know, what works there. So this does need to lift up on this side as he turns his head, because when you look at him here, this part would be that high, pretty much right here. So as it turns the head, some of that gets hidden or cut off. We're just going to sort of pull these inward and make that a little bit higher up like that. I can even grab some of these and just make sure they're not as extreme. Now the that center one we want to keep where we had it. So let me fix this. This line can get shorter, obviously, and should. And maybe even lift up a little bit. I'm not sure about that just yet, but it's definitely going to get shorter. I'm just going to test that. That's better. Kind of see how that works. I think a couple of these could maybe move up and out of the way a little better. I'm just going to double check this as I do it. Alright, it may or may not be perfect yet, but this is, you know, you can tweak that however you need. Now this side needs to be coming down and around, so once again we can always come back and make these linear and test until we get it absolutely right. So I don't hate that. Okay, so, and now this line, I'm going to get rid of this one because I don't see a point to having this here. We need to get rid of that though when we're back on the main line. But we're going to take all of this stuff here. We're going to move these farther along. And we can straighten all that out, no problem. And we can control M on all of these if we want to reset that curve, which I do. I highly recommend. There we go. And just kind of start testing these once again to see if they're moving correctly now, what we've got so far. It's working for the most part. And then I'm going to take this whole side here and we're going to bring that in and more down to kind of match where that would be once it was turned. So I'm going to make this just a little larger so I can grab a bigger chunk of that. Maybe a little more like that. I'm not sure. I'm going to double check, but that way it feels like it turns with him. We want this to kind of match like it's just coming over as he's turning his head. So something like that works. Just make sure it's all linear. And then we need to figure out this little sprig and stuff on the top of the head. These would kind of turn. This would probably start to move back. Let's just get a smaller radius on this tool. We can start messing around with some of that. Maybe flip these back a little bit. I think that makes sense. Plus you want to create the movement, the idea that these have moved sideways along the top there. Maybe the back of the head balloons out just a little bit more. Something like that. We'll make those linear. And then check the movement. Also, this line on the side should probably move forward as well. And this could even curve a little more like that. Double check that, see how it looks. In fact, I think that needs to get a lot shorter here. So something like that looks a bit better. And you get the idea. So we're going to go ahead and take the head now. And not because I want to change the shape of it, but I'm going to shift a line over. That way, on frame 48, that way when this happens, we're going to make that linear. It also gives this line a little bit of movement, so it looks like it has kind of a boiling of the line quality when the head turns. Something to that effect. Could even pull this one out slightly, maybe this one up slightly, just to give it a bit of a difference so that when it moves, we get, like I said, that sort of jittery, more jittery quality to it. So that's just a head turn. Pretty simple stuff, honestly. And now we just need to do the head turn from the other side. I wish there was an automatic way to say, now apply all that to the left, but there really isn't. We have head turn to here, so we're just going to double click onto that and move this up to frame 48. One thing we need to do is make sure we're on our bone layer and that these are all linear.
In Moho and animate everything in Moho. It's easier than using any yo-yo, yeah. Now it's time to learn to use Moho. From stick figures, heroes on the go, bringing characters to life, watch them glow. Every frame we draw, the magic flows, yeah. Unleash your dreams with Moho. Jump and let your story unfold. The world is yours to create. Be bold.
Sure, we don't need a frame here, but on frame 1 is the best place to test this stuff. Some things don't work unless you're on an animatable frame, but I think overall that looks pretty good. Nothing's too strange. That works for me. Cool. All right, so next, if we wanted to do a body turn, we could, but I think that is a great start. We get eye blinks, head turns, and I think maybe in the next video I'll go through giving him some multiple hands, but I think he's pretty good as a fully animatable character just in this sense. So before we go, just let him say bye. Bye. Have a good one.